Welcome to this virtual parent-teacher night. You're in the freshman seminar section for Mr. Lawrence. Welcome, thank you for joining me. I will try to keep this as brief as possible, but we'll go over some important stuff in the class and what your students should expect this year. All right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. Wonderful. All right, like I said, this is freshman seminar with Mr. Lawrence, and go class of 2025. Woo-woo. All right, so our agenda for this video is I'll have a brief introduction about myself, some of my teaching philosophy, the course expectations and curriculum information, the students' weekly tasks, what they're expected to do, the big three, and contact information. All right, so a little bit about myself. My name's Mr. Lawrence. I was born and raised in Reno, Nevada. There's me as a football player when I was 9. I recently earned a degree in philosophy at the University of Nevada in 2019. Very proud of that. I'm also currently in my master's program studying secondary English, and I should be finishing here in spring of 2022. So very excited to be finishing that. In fact, today I celebrate my 7th year of marriage to my beautiful wife, Corey, and we have 2 wonderful kids. We have Zoe, who's 5, and Wyatt, who is 2. This is my first year teaching at Reno High School, and it's also my first year teaching ever. So I'm very fortunate to be here at Reno High School and having the Reno High family welcome me in. And as a fun fact, I'll be starting the first ever disc golf club at Reno High School later this year. So if anybody's excited and wants to join our club, then please come to our meeting here. I believe it's next week, this Thursday at the club fair. All right, so a little bit about my teaching philosophy. The first thing is building relationships, social, emotional first. So my approach to the educational process is that it's very important for me to establish a connection with your student. And certainly one way to do that is being authentic. And I always encourage my students to be authentic. You know, if you're having a good day, let it show. If you're having a bad day, you know, to a certain degree, it's okay to let it show as well. But we want to make sure that we're building a sense of community in the classroom. And, you know, one way of doing that is by expressing yourself and, you know, smiling and saying hello to your friends. I know seminar can sometimes get a little siloed to where you're just doing your own thing. But as things settle in this year, we'll have a lot more group activities and a lot of discussions and whatnot. But I try to establish that very early on. The other thing I like to do with my students is empower them through kind of a flipped power differential. So what that means is that we are all teachers and students together. So I don't have all the answers, and I rely on my students to kind of give their perspectives on things. And I think this is a way for them to kind of feel like they're part of the process, rather than, I'm sure most of the adults watching this film or this video, when you went to school, the teacher kind of stood up there, told you what to do, you wrote it down, and you got tested on it. So I try to stay away from that, and I try to be a lot more organic and have a lot more student input. Another thing that's really important to me is high levels of rigor and also being accessible to my students. So if one of you all said that, oh, Mr. Lawrence, he really maintains high levels of rigor, but he's certainly accessible to students, that's something that I would really appreciate. And that's what I want to kind of become as a teacher, is keeping the bar very high and expecting greatness from our students, but also remaining accessible on the back end. So if students are struggling with a certain class or a certain situation, I really hope that they'd come talk to me and that we can kind of resolve that together. If not, always feel like you can reach out to me, and especially if you need some guidance or some thoughts, I'd love to just have a discussion and figure that out all together. Finally, I always like to challenge our perspectives on why we do things. So in freshman seminar, they're usually self-tasked with doing homework and silent reading or something of that nature. But I always want students to kind of wonder why they do things. And certainly there's certain times where we do things just because we have to, but I always like to try to understand the motivations of why certain things are the way that they are. And a lot of students will always ask me, Mr. Lawrence, why do we have to use our planners? I don't use a planner. So I always try to give them a perspective of, it's like, well, planners are a really good resource to keeping track of things. Well, I don't need that. I don't need to keep track of things. I got it all in my head. Okay, is your grades 100% and no missing assignments? Well, I got a few missing assignments and a few of my grades are okay. So if the student, and I do have some students that have 100% in most of their classes, and I say, well, once you prove to me that you don't need a planner, then we can move past that very quickly. But for some of our students, using a planner is like a really big deal right now, and we're getting not pushback, but a lot of them are saying like, I don't really use it or I don't need to use it, but we'll discuss that a little bit later. So kind of getting into my course expectations, super important that they utilize this class. Freshmen are the only level that gets an entire, practically a study period every single day where they can get caught up on their work, meet with other teachers, retake tests. So I really hope that each student utilizes this class. It's a great opportunity. It's something that they're doing newer in this district, trying to get freshmen some help in this very difficult transitional year. So as I prefaced, we're really pushing for students to use the planner. We had some pushback, like I don't use it, but we want to make sure that they can use a planner. If they're doing well in their classes and I see that, then we can start backing away from that, or they can use their system the way that they do it. But it is a course expectation of mine that they are utilizing the planner, and they will be getting points for that. In addition, we're here to learn life skills and learning good study habits and how to be successful in a school setting. So it's been a really big transition for a lot of us, me included in that. So as the year kind of settles in and progresses, we'll be learning more life skills. Right now, we're just kind of making sure that kids are getting caught up on their missing work, that they have really no homework to take home. That's the best case scenario, and that they are working in the class and kind of getting caught up when necessary. Another course expectation is to listen to the mentors. So we have 4 upperclassmen, and they're sophomore to junior level, and they're here to help the student, to kind of give them that high school student perspective on how to accomplish things. And they're probably more versed in high school than I am. I've been doing college for a long time, but they're really tapped into high school life and how things work. So if I had any advice, have them utilize the mentors as much as possible. Finally, or second to last, read. So we're gonna have a lot of time in this class to read. And it's gonna be an expectation that they're reading at least 15 to 20 minutes at the start of each class, then transitioning to homework. So they need to have a really good book that they like to read, or we have a wonderful library that they can check out books. I also have a personal library that they can check out a book anytime that they need. But they need to be establishing reading skills and utilizing that as much as possible in the freshman seminar. Last but not least, have a memorable class. I know so far most of them might say like, oh, it's kind of boring. We sit there and we do homework and whatever. Like I said, we're just starting off pretty slow this year. And eventually, though, we're going to do a lot of group activities, get outside as much as we can, have discussions. We just really want to make sure at the start of the year that we're starting off on a good foot and we're spending time doing homework. But once they get comfortable with that and they feel ready to do more stuff, then we'll have more discussions and talk about stuff. All right, so this screen demonstrates a front and back of really how they get a grade in this class. So it constitutes or kind of comes down to their freshman seminar daily tasks. So every day they should be checking if their planner's filled out, how many pages of reading did they do, and what academic tasks did they accomplish during their study time today. So this needs to be filled out. And if they don't fill it out, then points will be marked off for that. Also, they need to be setting a weekly academic SMART goal. SMART is an acronym, I believe, for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. I might have got the attainable and realistic mixed up, but they should be setting SMART goals every week and following up on their reflection. So at the very bottom, we'll see that they're reflecting on kind of what worked this week, what didn't work. And then also on Wednesdays, we do grade checks. So they write every single class, what percentage grade they have, and any missing assignments. So this allows our mentors and myself to start tracking to see if students are falling behind or whatnot. And that's their responsibility every week. So at the end of the week, they turn this in. And let me see if I can move my little screen here. Okay, so daily tasks are 15 points. Their grade check is 5 and the reflection is 5. So say they didn't do the reflection that week, then they would not get the 5 points. Grade checks are 5. So as long as they fill everything out, then that's pretty much how they'll get an A in this class. If they miss a few things, it's due to COVID or absences, they can make that up full credit. That's not a problem. But if they're here and they choose not to do some of the things, I might give them an opportunity to fill it in, but if they choose not to, then that'll just come out of their grade. Let's see here. So my big 3. So on the first day, we talked about the big 3. What are the big 3? Well, the first is reflection. So every student, I kind of expect them to have a reflective mindset in the class and for them to really look at what works and what doesn't work. This way we can identify some of the behaviors that might not be working or that are working and do less or more of that. Number 2, hardworking. I really expect each student to work hard in the class. Even though they may not have content mastery or they're very academically inclined, they can still work hard. And we want to show up every day and get it done. And that's super important, especially in freshman seminar, where it's mostly them self-tasked. So I'll walk around and if there's talking or chatting, I'll kind of say, hey, get your stuff out. But freshman seminar is mostly self-tasked, so they need to have a good work ethic in my class. Finally, safe. I want every student to have a safe attitude, physically and mentally and emotionally. So any hate speech or anything along those lines, derogatory language, is 100% not acceptable in my class. If I do catch a student saying stuff like that, it'll be pretty much a phone call home immediately. So we need to make sure that we're creating more of a community in the classroom and being respectful of one another. See what I did there? Reflection, hardworking, safe. You're in a high school. Go Huskies. So a few pictures of my classroom. One of the really an important thing is kind of getting into that whole safe space. When they walk into my classroom, I would like for them to feel comfortable. And I'd like them to, if there's pressure going outside in the school, they come in here and that pressure dissipates. And they feel comfortable that they can chat with me if they need to, or kind of just have a safe space to go and kind of relax and kind of get their homework done. It's Harry Potter themed. I tried not to, but I was like, I'll just go with it. So I've got a lot of Funko Pops and we got potions on the wall and whatnot. And I think one of our activities for freshman seminar is going to have to label all these potions. So they're going to get creative and do some creative writing and suggest what they might be. And if they get selected, then I'll put a nice label on it. And that'll be with my classroom for the rest of my teaching career. So very cool. I also teach English. So you'll see in the side classroom what our English classes are reading. Freshmen are reading Book Thief right now, and then our sophomores are reading Lord of the Flies. Last but not least is my contact information. So you can email me at matthew.lawrence@washoeschools.net, or you can call, text at 775-476-6377. That's my Google number. And if I don't respond right away, I'll usually respond within 24 hours, unless something drastically comes up, which should not really be the case, but I'll let y'all know if something happens, if I can't get back within 24 hours. But other than that, I am really excited to work with your students this year, and hopefully we'll be able to meet each other later in this year. If you need a parent-teacher conference or anything along those lines of strategies to work with your student, I'd love to meet with you, and we could figure that out. Anyway, have a wonderful night. Thank you so much for bearing with me on this virtual parent-teacher night. And I hope you have a wonderful night. Take care. Bye-bye.